Hey folks, okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of ISRU stuff today. We've got an update to KSPI that fixed some things like the Haber process. We can make ammonia now, so we're gonna do that today. And I'm gonna show you how it works if you've ever had some issues and you're like, well, I wanna make sure it works. Okay, totally works. So check it out. First thing you got to do is you got to make sure you have the correct storage. Nitrogen, liquid nitrogen, and go ahead and turn a little bit on so it actually makes some nitrogen gas, because you're actually going to be using nitrogen gas. The Haber process involves reacting nitrogen gas with hydrogen gas, and then it poops out ammonia. It's cool stuff. Alright, so make sure you got some gas, make sure you got some liquid nitrogen. Where do you get that from? Great question. You use your refrigerator to extract it from an atmosphere that contains 2% nitrogen. That's a bunch for our purposes. So we're going to do that. And we're going to enable overflow and make sure it just keeps on going. So we're cooking up the liquid nitrogen because, you know, the refrigerator unit here, it is compressing the nitrogen out of the air using, you know, coils and compressions and, you know, temperature differentials. So it's, you know, precipitating it out as liquid. So you want to store it as liquid. Once you do that, you want to make sure that you turn it into gas once again. If you don't, I'll show you what happens. We'll just go ahead and make sure we don't have any gaseous nitrogen whatsoever. Here we go. Boom. None. Okay. Here, let's leave that bad boy open. So we open up the refinery window for the all-in-one refinery. Pay no attention to all the crazy clipping going on here. This thing is a top-heavy work of art. Don't worry about it. It's got, you know, storage. You want to have liquid and gaseous hydrogen storage as well when you're doing the Haber process, because, you know, you're going to be liquefying gaseous or liquid hydrogen from different sources. My favorite way to get it is this here smelter. As it smelts metal, it produces byproducts, one of which is hydrogen. We're going to store the ammonia that we collect in this little, I did a little testing to make sure it works. You know, so we're going to store the gaseous ammonia here, and we have room for liquid ammonia here. This thing normally I use for hydrogen peroxide storage, but I repurposed it today so we could do some ammonia production. Then I'll transfer it off and get back to hydrogen peroxide. Anywho, put that out the way there. If you try to do the Haber process right now, it's like missing nitrogen. You're like, grr, why? Because you got plenty of liquid nitrogen here, but you need some gaseous. You know, you see it lights up now, and we are pumping away. We have ammonia. So we are not liquefying it, we're just storing it as gas currently. Right over here, as you can see, it is filling up quick. So we're going to go ahead and start liquefying the ammonia. Boop. Now we are filling up on liquid ammonia. Now, what do we need the ammonia for, you might ask? Couldn't you just harvest it from an atmosphere? Well, that's what I was doing prior to the fix. Would just harvest it from an ammonia-based atmosphere. But here on Duna, we don't have that luxury. And I want to make some uranium nitride so that I can make thermal turbojet little hovercraft vehicles that can zip around Duna with little effort, because Duna's great for that. As soon as we get enough ammonia here, we'll figure that out. This might Yep. Yeah. Okay. So that was no big deal. That was just a nuclear reactor blowing up over there somewhere. Smelter taken off, or production. Wait. Oh, no. There's the reactor over there. It didn't blow up. See? It's good. We're fine. Didn't leak nuclear radiation everywhere. Anyway, we didn't need that stuff anyway. We're not too concerned about it. None of it has anything to do with the refining process that we're doing right now. So anyway, we've got a little bit of liquid ammonia, so we're going to see what we can do with that. We're going to hobble over here and see if we've got any. Yep, we have ourselves 63 kilograms of enriched uranium. That's 5.76 units that we mined out of the dirt here using this here drill. That is totally not drilling right through a landing strip. It's totally not happening. You're imagining that, obviously. Okay, so we did have to get some fluorine piped in. It's around here somewhere. It's in one of these things. There we go. We got some fluorine that we're going to use to make some uranium tetrafluoride that we already have here. But we'll go ahead and show you how that works. You click on this, you toggle that, and it's totally not that one. Anyway, uranium tetrafluoride production. We're missing liquid fluorine. Okay. I need to repurpose a tank real quick. Any, mini, money. Why is there lithium in there? You know, I have insane amounts of hydrogen that I can just get right back. So we're gonna... Oh, why did I do that? Fluorine's gonna be right there. Okay. Let's go ahead and liquefy a little bit of that. There we go. And voila. You're so not missing liquid fluorine. What are you talking about? Perhaps, yeah, it's probably just not quite enough to make anything happen. So anyway, normally that would just go ahead and give you that, but I only have like a drop of liquid fluorine left, not quite enough to do anything there. But pretend that you saw me fill that all the way up there with uranium tetrafluoride. It's all good. So once you've got uranium tetrafluoride, the next step is uranium nitride, which I would normally put in this tank right here, but I am actually planning on building one of those fancy hoverjet things as soon as I repair a few things, which is not going to be a problem at all, trust me. We're good. We're good. We got rocket parts. Yeah, see, we got some rocket parts. We have a few left. We can build another drill, and we're fine. I mean, we have this drill. We're good. So anyway, step one, go to your refinery, and you make your ammonia using nitrogen and hydrogen, and you store it. You store your ammonia. From there, you mine your uraninite out of the ground. You get your uraninite going. You process it so that you turn it into uranium, or enriched uranium. See, right there. You get some fluorine in liquid form. Had to have that shipped in because the whole freaking planet, right? The whole thing. I scanned the whole thing. No fluorine anywhere. I guess it's not such a big deal. Not such a big deal at all. I just had it flown in. No big deal. Teeny tiny amount of liquid fluorine. And now we're out. But I'll deal with that later. I'm sure Ike has some fluorine. Should be able to find some there in the soil or something. Some calcium fluoride. Where were we? Oh, yeah. All right, so when you want to make your uranium nitride, I suppose I shouldn't have it cross-feeding all the way through all these tubes, but whatever. If it works, it works. So we go to our big old refinery over here. we say we have enough ammonia, enough of that, and you go to your ammonia analysis, and you turn it on, and it takes about 6 megawatts of power, right? And it just kind of produces it for you. So let's see what that does. We got about 5 kilograms out of it. It's 0.36 units, right? Okay, let's see. Still dropping. Seems to continue to eat the uranium tetrafluoride even when we're out of ammonia. That's interesting. We're not out of ammonia, it just stopped producing. Let's take a look here. Make sure I'm not missing something. It's around here somewhere. Am I completely missing it? Oh, it's way up there at the top. Yeah, no, 0.36. That's all we were getting. It definitely did stop production at some point. So let's check a few things. What if we go that way? Yep. Okay. So you're definitely going to want your ammonia in gaseous form, it looks like. Yeah. And it appears it's going to chew it up as fast as I can produce it. Okay. So yeah, go ahead and when you're making the uranium tetrafluoride, you want liquid fluorine. When you're using the ammonia for the uranium nitride, you want gaseous ammonia. And look at that. We've got a lot of uranium nitride that is actually enough to power some pretty powerful vehicles. There you have it. Okay. So uranium nitride, in a nutshell. It's pretty easy once you have all the parts. Just to recap one more time, you want nitrogen that you're going to get from the atmosphere. So you get your nitrogen. And then you turn that into ammonia. Turn that into the ammonia with the Haber process. Okay? The Haber process right here is how you get your ammonia. Once you do that, you use your refinery to make the uranium tetrafluoride. Okay? Make sure you got liquid fluorine. Once you've got enough uranium tetrafluoride, look at that, we're almost done. So remember how much of that we had? And that gave us about that much, about 74 kilograms. Most of which is nitrogen. Okay, most of that mass, nitrogen. Some uranium in there though. It burns cool. Alright, so this mess we'll clean up here in just a second. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you what you can do with some of these things. Now I don't really have enough satellite coverage for that one. We'll try something else. We'll try... No, actually that's exactly the one we want. You know, I'm thinking maybe this isn't the one that we want. This one's cool. It really is. This thing can land on and take off from Duna like 2 or 3 times before, well, like twice, like a full land, take off, land, take off, land. Can do that before refueling, which is kind of neat, because it just burns the atmosphere of Duna through these thrusters right there, and it does its thing. The weird shape actually helps it achieve orbit around Duna. This thing doesn't do so great on other planets, but for Duna specifically, this funny old shape with these cool engines, it does kind of neat. If you're, I don't have fancy editing software and stuff, so my recommendation would be fast forward, through the video to the better parts, because this might take them a second to get all the way to the ground. But just to show you that, what is this? 2.62 units of uranium nitride in there, as well as 262 in there. Started out with 3.1, the lowest amount that I could load in there, from the vehicle assembly building, and then I attached 2 of these to a rocket and flew it out here, and then later on in my career I got some more action going on, but this is old and kind of unbalanced. But just to show you what these things can do, we are loaded up with hydrogen peroxide right there, about that much, about 2 tons of it. About 2 tons of H2O2, and a couple 100 kilograms, maybe. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. 75-ish kilograms total between the 2 reactors of uranium nitride. There's our periapsis dropping. Now, it's not completely unbalanced in this configuration, just keep the thrust low. And for Duna, this is what it is. You're like, wow, that's a weird steep angle. Yeah, kinda. Oh, left the air intakes open. Switch them to atmospheric mode. And now we hope we don't lose signal on the way down. At one point we probably will, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and turn these all the way up. So this is definitely the part where I recommend fast forwarding a little bit, because I don't have all that fancy editing software where I can splice these together and upload a new video with all the bad parts cut out. You know what I'm saying? It's important to cut out the bad parts. Check our curve net there. So we're going to have coverage for a little bit, and then we're probably going to crash, just to let you know. But hopefully we don't. Oops. Definitely don't want to do that. So the really important thing is to make sure that you got your lift and your thrust and your center of mass on one of these things pretty much, in the same spot is ideal. And then strap on some SAS times 2. There's another one, just to be safe, Let's see. That was weird. I forgot that one was on. Okay, so once you're at around, a certain level in the atmosphere, I don't have any instruments to give the exact barometric pressure, but once you're starting to get a little bit of air, atmosphere from doing it, you're gonna start producing thrust in these things. It's not burning any fuel, just atmosphere. So we get about 14, 15 kilonewtons there. As we drop, it's going to increase a little bit. So let's go ahead and we're cruising at about Mach 2, so we're good. It's difficult to air brake around tuna. We'll see what we can do. See if we can land before we lose coverage from the shipyard there. I'll try this maneuver home. Normally it's a better idea to just kind of coast gently with a pilot inside, so you don't have to worry about crashing. But, we should be fine. So full throttle, this thing claims it can go for about 68 days after. Not 68 days total, because if you shut it down, you got years and years and years and years and years and years. At full throttle, you can burn for 68 days. I don't know if you've ever tried to run your rocket ship for 68 days straight, but this thing will fly in the atmosphere for 68 days on 75 kilograms of uranium and just the air. Mind you, I haven't really used much air. I'm just kind of cruising. Desperately trying to lose altitude before we lose satellite coverage. Oops, that was a little too much. So watching me painstakingly ease this thing down to the surface of Duna is probably not the most exciting thing in the world. Certainly not getting paid by YouTube to make this video, and certainly not gonna buy some fancy editing software anytime soon. So just, you know, click that fast forward button. We'll be down there on the ground eventually. If you do want to watch this whole thing, well, I mean, it is KSP. This is kind of why we play this game anyway. Almost there. I can just hear everyone just like, land already. It took a while to build this thing. Fly it out, get it in place. Only have so many of them. Dash it up on the rocks. Overshoot gently. There we go. Okay, so that's landing from orbit using this thing right here. And yeah, there's like, I don't have anything around here specifically. But what I do have is this thing ahead of me. So what we can do is try to catch up. So go ahead and just like any other time, put yourself at about 90 degrees. Once we gain a little bit of speed, I'll show you why we have such a funny shape and configuration. Oops. So I am not actually doing anything through the SAS stuff. I'm not steering or anything right now. It's just pointing itself in this particular configuration. So once I get up to about 10,000, we'll actually steer and pitch forward. Okay. Distance there, so we're going to flip over. And as the engines do, go ahead and towards. The whole point of this is to kind of dive bomb back down and kind of take it at an angle. We just want to make sure we got plenty of altitude before we attempt that so that we don't lose connection here. The whole thing is just going to kind of chase around. Hopefully maybe I can bounce a signal off of that ship if I have the antenna deployed. I guess we'll see. Alright, so it's a little slow at this point because we are pretty high up. We don't have quite the altitude to produce enough air to produce enough thrust. It's pretty light on the thrust, about 7 kilonewtons right now per engine. Not a lot going on in that. But we are moving pretty quick. And we're going to start accelerating as soon as we pass apoapsis. Which is going to be great. Because then we're going to go stupid fucking fast. Pardon my French. But this is going to be really cool here in just a few moments. In order to kind of make it go a little bit faster, what we could do give it a little boost. Okie dokes. Here we go. How to achieve orbit with the superlight. What do we got here? 9.36 tons. 9.36 tons. Going to space today. Trust me. Might not look like it now. Really might not look like it. But I assure you, we are going to space today. Faster. Alright, so I just cut off SAS to just neutral to just kind of hold, and at a certain point the lifting body is just going to kind of do its thing. About 800 meters per second, point at the horizon, and we should be good. So we've lost the shipyard. The lifter here is honestly the ship that we should be used. It's gonna keep us in connection for a while. Alright, I'm still not steering. This is all SAS, and the shape of the so we're at a little over 800, we're not pitching above the horizon, so we're going to see some movement here pretty soon. Except that ground is going up. Still haven't, there we go. That's exactly what we want. Okay. So, through that whole thing, I didn't touch the controls. I just let it coast right on through its dip. Just kind of dive bombed. And just about to the surface. And then it's going to go ahead and continue, basically take itself on the trajectory that it needs to achieve. It does take a while, but believe you me, it just keeps going. We can time accelerate, I think, yeah. Time acceleration, got those going. Alright, so by the time it really gets that going, we're going to run out of atmosphere to really do much more than maintain our ascent. And you might be asking me, at what point am I going to use this hydrogen peroxide? Well, I used it to deorbit. Definitely used it to give us a little boost. 0.2 Yeah, about 200, what was that, 200 grams, something like that? Or 200 kilograms? Yeah, so, you know, blasted a good chunk of it out of there. There we go, still in connection. Probably see our shipyard here soon. Oh yeah, there we go. Very nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. It's important to have satellites. Gotta have multiples, backups, that sort of thing. All right, so we are still just kind of pointed up. Zero steering done. Let's see, less than 1 kilonewton, about half a kilonewton now. Our apoapsis is about 74, so we're still actually climbing. We'll kick on the hydrogen peroxide, you know, of course, at apoapsis. So let's go ahead and just speed up here. And again, that's using the pebble bed reactor, uranium nitride, not very much, and the thermal turbojet. I favor the VTOL version because it does this. It does that. Ooh yeah. Ooh yeah. How cool is that? Super cool. You don't need much radiator because we're not producing electricity. If it were a little less dark on this side of Duna, you'd be able to see. There's no electric generator attached to this. It's right into a tricoupler. Okay, we get all of our power. We got some batteries. We got some RTGs. You gotta love the PB nuke. Got 2 of those bad boys, and some solar panels and some batteries. Okay. That's all just to keep the hydrogen peroxide at a decent temperature and to keep the pilot alive as far as life support. And there's like a probe core in here somewhere that tells it which way to point. And yeah, not much else going on. So it's super light. You don't need to spam it with radiators because all the heat goes out there. As far as waste heat, where are we at? Right about there. Not too shabby. So the reactors don't, burn out too soon. A little bit of embrittlement because we are pushing them pretty hard, through the atmosphere. That's, some kind of ridiculous use to a nuclear reactor. But what are you gonna do? Oh yeah, look at that. We missed our apoapsis. So we're probably, yeah. See, I was talking, so I didn't time it right. Okay. So it's no big deal. All we gotta do. Switch to hydrogen peroxide. And look at that. Look at that. We're still 21 seconds from apoapsis. I don't know what you mean that I missed it. So there are 2 ways we can do this. We can either pitch forward at about here, basically hold radial in, align left with north. Basically point the left side of your vessel at north on the planet. That way. This way. Over here. Left, north. That puts your engines facing west and your cockpit facing east, or 90 degrees. And full blast. These things produce an enormous amount of thrust with hydrogen peroxide. As you can see, I've used a lot of it. Alright, I'm not even going to use it all because I don't need it. Alright. We're just going to ease our way into orbit. And there. There. It's a little wobbly. We'll adjust it later. But it's all good. So we have exactly, well, as the reactor cools, we'll probably get a little bit more delta V. 1001 meters per second of delta V. And yeah. It was a land and a takeoff back into orbit using 2 pebble bed reactors. And a very strangely shaped craft that just kind of goes to orbit on its own. It's pretty sweet. Alright, let's see. Throw in like a request for a particular part or whatever that you're having trouble with, and I'll do a video to show you how to get the most out of it. Thanks for watching.